Paying 24% in taxes on purpose is what unlocked $144,000 a year in tax-free retirement income. In today's video, I'm going to show you how converting to a Roth at age 57 can make $12,000 a month in retirement spending possible. Not because of how much you've saved, but because of how you've structured your income. We'll walk through the tax planning moves that make this work, why Roth timing matters more than most people realize, and even cover a few surprising downsides of having a large Roth balance early in retirement. If you're new here, I'm Megan. I help 401k and IRA millionaires with $2 million or more reduce taxes, protect their income, and keep more of their savings without giving half of it to Uncle Sam. Let's dive into the strategy that could completely change how you approach retirement. There's a short window in retirement planning that's incredibly valuable and easy to miss. It usually appears right after you stop working or significantly reduce your earned income, but before Social Security starts and long before your required minimum distributions begin. During this window, your income drops off. Social Security hasn't started yet, either because it's not available or you're choosing to defer. And you're still years away from being forced to take taxable withdrawals from your IRA or 401k. In this window, you have maximum control over how much income shows up on your tax return, and that control creates one of the most strategic tax planning opportunities in retirement: Roth conversions. You can convert pre-tax IRA dollars to a Roth IRA, intentionally creating taxable income, but on your terms and within the brackets you choose. This is what we refer to as the golden window. It's a unique period when you can fill lower tax brackets, manage future RMD exposure, and reduce future Medicare IRMAA surcharges, all without triggering penalties or stacking income. But here's the critical insight most people miss. Sometimes you shouldn't wait for this golden window at all. While the golden window offers flexibility for many high savers, the planning opportunity starts earlier, even while you're still working and in higher tax brackets. Why would you voluntarily pay taxes at a higher rate now? Because the cost of doing nothing, waiting too long, could be even higher later. Here's why early conversions in your 50s or early 60s might make sense. You may already be in your peak earning years, but future Social Security, pensions, and large IRAs could keep you in the same tax bracket later, with less flexibility. Delaying conversions may shrink your window of opportunity and compress Roth conversion space after retirement. You could unintentionally trigger Medicare IRMAA surcharges, force higher taxes on Social Security benefits, or pay top bracket taxes on required distributions. It sounds backwards, but paying 24% in taxes today might actually cost you less over your retirement than waiting to pay 22% later. Here's why. By converting pre-tax IRA dollars now at 24%, you may unlock a series of benefits that aren't obvious on the surface, but they make a real difference in the long run. Future tax reduction. Once your conversions are done, your remaining pre-tax balances drop, potentially lowering your future income into the 10 to 12% bracket. More tax-free Social Security. With lower taxable income, less of your Social Security gets taxed, leaving more spendable dollars in your pocket. Avoiding IRMAA surcharges. Staying under key Medicare income thresholds can save you hundreds, even thousands per year in healthcare premiums. Reduced investment pressure. With Roth dollars available, you may sell fewer shares in taxable accounts, especially during downturns, because your cash flow needs are met tax efficiently. Yes, you're paying more upfront, but that upfront pain gives you flexibility and control later when it matters most. It also goes against conventional wisdom, which says pay the lowest tax rate today. But for those who have most of their savings in IRAs and want to spend more in their early years in retirement, this trade-off often works, especially when you factor in the hidden costs of doing nothing. It's not the right move for everyone, but if you're sitting on a large IRA or 401k and planning for an active, front-loaded retirement lifestyle, it's absolutely worth modeling. Because sometimes the best tax strategy isn't about paying the least today, it's about keeping more tomorrow. Let's talk about what tax-free income looks like in practice. If you want to spend $12,000 a month, that's $144,000 a year of total spending. If that income comes from a Roth, it's really straightforward. You withdraw $144,000, you spend $144,000. No income tax, no impacts to your Medicare premiums, no stealth taxes, no gray areas. Very clean, very predictable. I don't think it could be more straightforward than that. 144,000 in, 144,000 out. Now compare that to taking that same spending from a traditional IRA. I ran this through my tax software. In a real-world example, if we want 144,000 of spendable money, we're going to have to withdraw somewhere between $175,000 and $180,000 out of that IRA. Because in our IRAs, we have a silent partner, Uncle Sam. Whether that's a traditional IRA or 401k, the taxman is baked into all of those numbers. Same lifestyle, same net income, but really more pressure on the portfolio because we have to take those deferred taxes that are baked in. This is why converting earlier matters. Once a meaningful amount of your spending is coming from your Roth every month, $12,000 a month stops being a tax problem. It becomes more of a cash flow decision. After seeing the benefits of Roth conversions, many people naturally ask, should I just convert everything and get to zero in my IRA? It's a fair question, but going all in on Roth isn't always the smartest move. In fact, making total conversion your goal could mean missing out on the tax code's most overlooked advantage, how generous it is to lower income retirees. Let me explain. The U.S. tax code today offers wide, low brackets, especially for married couples filing jointly. When you retire and your income drops, you may enter a window where the combination of Social Security and small IRA withdrawals can produce shockingly low effective tax rates, sometimes even zero. Let's say you're a married couple, age 62, and recently retired. Because you were proactive, you did Roth conversions in your working years. Yes, even in the 24% bracket. Painful at the time, but now look at the payoff. $53,000 in household Social Security, $22,000 in IRA withdrawals, $69,000 in Roth IRA withdrawals. That total spending of $12,000 a month, tax-free, and a federal tax liability of zero. How? It's simple. Only $9,825 of your Social Security shows up on your tax return, thanks to the IRS formula. Add $22,000 in IRA withdrawals and your taxable income is still offset by the standard deduction. The rest, your Roth income, is fully tax-free and doesn't count toward IRMAA or taxation on Social Security. This is the power of balance, not conversion to zero. The most efficient plans usually include a mix of Roth IRA dollars for tax-free income and flexibility, tax-deferred dollars to strategically fill up lower brackets, brokerage assets for added control using capital gains, tax loss harvesting, and qualified dividends. Together, this creates income that's more controllable, more resilient to tax changes, and more durable across market cycles. So yes, converting some now, even at higher rates, can make a lot of sense. But that doesn't mean you should wipe out all of your pre-tax dollars. Many retirees are able to use IRA withdrawals in retirement and still pay little to no federal tax because they planned ahead. Don't make total Roth conversion your finish line. The real goal isn't zero and tax deferred. It's maximum after-tax income and minimum lifetime taxes. And that outcome almost always comes from a carefully blended strategy, not a one-size-fits-all conversion plan. Before we move on, there's one major healthcare issue that catches a lot of people off guard, especially those doing everything right inside their 401ks. If you're under 65 and using ACA health insurance before Medicare kicks in, living entirely off Roth income can accidentally cause a big problem. Why? Because with zero taxable income, you could unintentionally qualify for Medicaid, not a traditional subsidized ACA plan through the exchange. Medicaid may not be ideal. Limited provider networks, reduced access to care, and sometimes fewer options for specialists. That's not the kind of trade-off most people want heading into retirement. This is a perfect example of how great tax planning in isolation can cause ripple effects in other parts of your plan. Now, for high savers, those with $3 million or more in pre-tax retirement accounts, the real problem isn't Medicaid. It's Medicare IRMAA surcharges. Let me show you what this looks like. Back in 2007, the third IRMAA bracket surcharge for Medicare Part B was $126 per month. In 2026, that same bracket will cost you $527 per month. And according to Medicare's own trustees, that number is projected to rise to $782 per month by 2032 and $902 per month by 2034. These are real costs that come on top of your regular premiums just for crossing an income threshold you could have planned around. Roth conversions done right can help reduce or eliminate those surcharges, potentially saving you thousands per year in retirement healthcare costs. This is why Roth is a powerful tool, but not a one-size-fits-all solution. Your healthcare, income, and tax plan need to work together. We're not just trying to minimize taxes in one year, we're looking to optimize your income, healthcare costs, and flexibility across decades. Another tax mistake many people make is thinking that making the Roth contribution or conversion is the final step. It's not. It's just step one. Let me break it down for you. Step one is getting the money into the Roth. That could be a Roth 401k contribution or a Roth conversion, where you're voluntarily paying taxes now in exchange for tax-free growth later. Step two is paying the tax from the right source. If you pay conversion taxes from the converted amount instead of using outside funds, you've just reduced the effectiveness of the entire strategy. Why pay thousands in tax to convert only to shortchange the dollars meant to grow tax-free? Step three is where many people drop the ball: investing Roth dollars for growth. If you're going to pay upfront taxes to build a Roth, you want those dollars growing in stocks, not sitting in low-growth investments. Yet, I regularly see account statements with Roth IRAs holding bond-heavy mixes or Roth's 401ks sitting in target date funds that are 40 to 60% bonds. That's a tax mismatch. You've taken the tax hit for long-term growth, but your investments aren't aligned with that purpose. Here's a real-world example. A client was diligently contributing to their Roth 401k for years. They assumed they were set. But when we reviewed the investments, nearly half of those Roth dollars were in conservative assets that had no business sitting in a tax-free growth account. Why? Because the plan defaulted them into a target date fund, and no one had ever questioned it. This is especially common with big-name firms and large custodians. You take a generic risk questionnaire and they give you a cookie-cutter 80-20 portfolio. 80% stocks, 20% bonds. In every account. Roth, IRA, brokerage, all the same. But tax-efficient investing means different accounts should serve different purposes. So, here's the takeaway. Roth is a powerful tool, but it only works if it's used properly. Getting money into a Roth is not enough. You have to fund it right, pay the taxes right, and invest it right. Now that you understand the power of combining Roth conversions, Social Security timing, and smart portfolio design, it's time to bring it all together. Everything looks fine until one spouse dies. Let's look at what we call the John and Jane system, 65 plus. Married, filing jointly, comfortable on paper. John's Social Security is $40,000. Jane's Social Security is $30,000. IRA withdrawals total $45,000 a year. This puts them in the federal tax bracket at 12%. Their taxable Social Security is $36,600. Looks manageable, right? Income is flowing, taxes are under control, and the effective rate is low. But here's the problem. The plan is built for two. Now let's say John dies at 72 and Jane lives to 92. Suddenly everything changes, and not in her favor. She still needs $92,000 net per year to maintain the lifestyle they built together. But here's what that looks like now. John's Social Security of $40,000 she gets to keep because it's the higher benefit. Jane's Social Security now goes to zero. The lower benefit disappears. To make up the difference, she now needs $72,500 of IRA withdrawals. This jumps her into the 22% federal tax bracket. Her taxable Social Security is $34,000. What just happened? It's called the bracket bump. Jane's income dropped, but her tax bracket went up. She went from filing as married to single, which means her standard deduction shrinks and her tax rates increase, even though her lifestyle and needs haven't changed. To close her income gap, she needs to pull even more from her IRA, pushing more of her Social Security into the taxable zone, and more of her total income into higher brackets. Now add IRMAA to the mix. Now Jane's modified adjusted gross income is over the IRMAA threshold. Her Medicare premiums increase by hundreds per month just when she's adjusting to life without her partner. And remember, this shift can last 20 plus years for the surviving spouse. This is why survivor income planning matters, and why Roth conversions while both spouses are living may actually protect the surviving spouse later. Most people build a plan assuming both spouses live into their 90s, but statistically, that's not what happens. Planning for the survivor isn't pessimistic, it's practical. This is one of the biggest blind spots in traditional planning. If your current strategy doesn't address this, it's not a retirement plan. It's a guess. We don't need better investments or different investments. We don't need higher earnings or higher savings. We just need one good decision: when we pay these taxes. And that can permanently change how our retirement income behaves. That's why $12,000 a month, if you have a big enough Roth or a big enough traditional IRA, feels easy. Not because it's small, but because it's clean and straightforward. No extra taxes, no Medicare premiums, just pure tax-free cash flow. And that's why so many people, myself included, love that Roth IRA. We strongly encourage people, when it's appropriate and when you've done it through a comprehensive tax plan and comprehensive retirement plan, to voluntarily pay more taxes now with hopes of paying substantially less taxes later. If you're sitting here thinking, okay, this makes sense, but I need help figuring out my exact numbers, that's exactly what we do at MOKAN Wealth. We use our 5-seed system to create a comprehensive plan that covers not just Roth conversions, but income planning, tax strategy, healthcare, and legacy planning. If you have between $2 million and $10 million saved, we'd love to help you create a plan. Visit the link in the description to get started. Remember, don't ignore your favorite uncle. Just make sure he doesn't take more than his fair share. Thank you.